Well, welcome.
Hi.
Thank you.
So nice to have you both. Heads up, this is an example of the kind of conversation that I'm talking about. These are two people who are running incredible service businesses. And part of what we're going to talk about today is that notion of how you scale service and how you can provide a high-touch level of service with two digital brands, right? So I thought I'd start by just asking each of you to kind of quickly give us a little pitch of your brand. So
Hello, everyone.
kick it off.
So I'm Jean Brownhill. I'm the founder of Sweeten. Sweeten is an end-to-end renovation platform where we help you find the best general contractors. We match them to your project, and then we stay with those projects all the way to completion. So the service that Dennis is talking about is mostly general contracting services. We do have a small fleet of architects and interior designers, but that's not the majority of our offering.
Perfect.
And I'm Alessandra Wood from Modsy. We are an online interior design service that uses 3D design to show you your exact room filled with products from top retailers and new brands to create an experience that feels like trying on furniture in your home virtually, so you don't have to lift a finger, and you can be super confident in all of the design decisions that you're making before you purchase a single thing.
Okay, so Jean, to my point about scaling service, remarkably, Jean started this company on her own, providing all of that great service herself, Google Sheets going and capturing all the data. And Jean's company now has $1.5 billion worth of construction projects in the pipeline at Sweeten. Yeah. So, if you will,
Thanks.
Pretty incredible, right? Pretty
Thanks,
incredible.
Everyone.
Yeah. So, Jean, how'd you do it?
Oh, it was super easy. Yeah, so I did. I started out, my background is architecture. I went to architecture school and worked for many years as an architect, not licensed, just in an architecture firm. And, it was only when I went to renovate my own brownstone in Brooklyn that I realized that it's really challenging to find a great general contractor to match with your project. So I had this whole Rolodex of very fancy contractors that wanted nothing to do with my renovation. And so I ended up hiring the wrong GC for my own project. And it was through that experience that I was like, there has to be a better way. There has to be a way that we can use technology. I know that there's great general contractors out there. I just can't figure out how to connect them to my project. So in the beginning, that was, as you said, with Google Sheets, mostly in email. Now it's done mostly through algorithms, and we have a whole team of people that are just interviewing and vetting general contractors, onboarding and helping to set standards for them to follow. Yeah, so it's been an interesting ride. We've done a couple of rounds of venture capital to get there, to be able to build the team and get the technologists to be able to build the software. So if you post your project on Sweeten today, I will not be answering the email.
Anymore. She stopped answering the emails directly.
I stopped answering the direct emails before, but I really do remember the moment when we got a project that wasn't, like my mom or one of her friends posting it. It was really incredible. And now obviously we get, millions and millions of dollars of projects posted every day. That's mostly kitchens and bathrooms, but we do full additions and townhouses or commercial projects. And we are in the tri-state area, LA, and we're opening Chicago at the end of this month.
Wow, okay. I touched on this a little bit yesterday with some of our guests. One of the things that's really important to remember about Sweeten and Jean's business is that there were plenty of companies out there that could help you find a general contractor. There were companies that could send you a list of names, but there wasn't an organization that was going to provide the service behind it and that was going to take you through the process and make sure that the contractor was servicing you the way you expected, and we're going to talk a little bit about customer expectations. But it was this notion of changing the mindset of how service was going to be provided in this arena?
Well, I think it's, a lot of the folks this morning have talked about this, but the personalization and customization, and then specifically as it relates to general contractors, the match, right? So, I don't know this audience, like a show of hands, how many of you have hired a general contractor? Okay. How many of you love your general contractor? Okay, a lot less.
Okay, less,
Some,
but
which
okay,
is great,
but that's
but
good.
a lot less. So finding the right general contractor for the project is really, a lot of the technology that we've done is in categorizing general contractors, figuring out homeowners and what their actual projects are, so trying to figure out what the scope of those projects are, and then matching those two things together. So, that has been the heavy lifting on the back end as far as the actual technology piece, to be able to automate that through algorithms now, and to be able to have, we've done thousands of renovations and lots of happy homeowners in the process.
Exactly. And Alessandra, that's so much of what Modsy has been able to do as well. So Modsy is such a transformational technology, and I've been excited about Modsy for a long time, as you know, and writing about it and covering it. And the ability to provide 3D renderings on the level that you're able to, for the price that you are able to deliver them. Talk a little bit about that and the customers that have come to you as a result.
Sure. I don't have to tell everyone here, customers have very high expectations when it comes to service, even those on a shoestring budget. Sometimes they have higher expectations, we found. But one of the things we started to learn was, as people started to hear about new technologies, especially things like 3D design and rendering, there are many people who start to believe that that's an expectation for shopping. And so we've really been able to leverage that notion that the modern consumer, not only do they expect services like personalization and customization, which is where design services comes in, but they expect the technology to empower them to make the best decisions. And I think we've heard a lot about that today, whether it's through merchandising or through how platforms are helping people find contractors or rental furniture. People are expecting an ease of use, and that's where technology really helps. So the 3D visualization technology makes the process seem seamless. It gives a user basically the confidence to know that when all of this furniture comes into their home, all of this decor, they'll know exactly what it will look like before they even order one piece. And that, as everyone here knows, is hard, because many people can't visualize until the sofa lands in their home or their apartment and they say, holy crap, like this is not what I expected, or it's way bigger than I thought and I can't walk around it. And so a lot about that technology is providing not just the service, but the confidence to know that the decision-making process is seamless and easy.
Yeah, same with us, for sure. I think the transparency as well is one of the expectations of the consumers now. So customers expect to come online and find, as much information as possible, but only the information that they are specifically interested in. So it has to be really tailored to them, the type of transparent information.
Yeah, and we were talking a little bit about this yesterday, this issue of transparency. And again, in every industry, it means something slightly different. But customers have this expectation today that everything is going to be sort of clearly defined. And the other expectation that they have is that you are not just going to satisfy their needs, but you are just going to provide this incredible level of service that, as we all sort of talk about today, you're going to delight your customer. It's not enough that you're going to satisfy your customer. You are going to delight them. And how do you do that in the process of hiring a general contractor to do your bathroom renovation, and how and when do you find a way to delight them?
Yeah, so our technology and our product, we definitely are looking for ways to surprise and delight. Sometimes when it comes to a renovation, because it's such a high-ticket item, So our average order value is $100,000 plus. So people are spending a lot of money with us. And so Delight might look like a bid leveling tool that allows you to see an apples to apples comparison of the 3 general contractors that are bidding on your project. Now that might not seem that delightful, but really when you're doing a renovation, to be able to really understand the comparative pricing of your GCs is like a real wow factor, because so many general contractors, as you probably know, are submitting estimates in all different forms, and it's very confusing. You don't know what you're really buying. So to be able to just lay that out clearly for customers has been, delightful.
Yeah, well, and again, using your vast array of data, you can inform clients about what these projects are likely to cost, and here are some of the differences when they're comparing, and all of those things that your experience has made possible makes that process so much easier. And also, as you talked about, you are really helping general contractors to provide a much better level of service than they would be able to provide on their own, because you've filled in so many of those touch points.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely are trying to reduce the workload for our general contractors. So historically, they've had a hard time, documenting, communicating, and setting expectations clearly. We help them to do all of that. The nice thing about being part of the project until it's completed is that we do have a ton of data. And some of that data is raw data about pricing, which we certainly have pricing guides, but it's also just the stories of the renovation. So if you go to our blog, you will see, happy smiling families of all different arrays talking about their bathroom renovation, their kitchen renovation, and they're able to tell those stories. So that's a different type of, content data. You can talk about which one it is. But it's just so great that we have kind of an evergreen supply of it, because it's in our business model that we are there until the very end.
Yeah. And Alessandra, as you and I have talked about your vast array of data about helping consumers articulate what their personal style is, and what they're really trying to get across to you, what they want their living room to look like. And this is your wheelhouse as the style director. Talk a little bit about that, how you've made that easier for people.
Sure. So one thing that we learned in our early days of testing, and again, this is not going to be new information for most people here, is that it's hard for customers to tell you and describe their style using words. And with the tools that we have online right now, we know that the vast majority of people are going to Pinterest, Instagram, Houzz, looking for inspiration, and they're pulling together these boards that might represent, in your eyes or my eyes, 5 different styles. And they're saying, I want my house to look like this. And when you look at that through the lens of design expertise, you recognize that it is 5 different styles, but customer or clients might be seeing this general notion of inspiration. So one of the things that we did, and I think this flows into the notion of delight too, is making it seamless for people to be able to identify and then communicate their style. So at ModZ, the way that we did that was building out an algorithm, because we're a startup, right? Why not? Through our style quiz. And so our style quiz really, this was a point where when we talk about ModZ being this intersection of design and technology, is a moment that I'm personally particularly really proud of, because it truly was a collaborative effort between our engineering team and me and our style team, saying, here's what design is, here's what style is, and here's how we can start to think about creating a code or a taxonomy that an algorithm or a robot, a computer, can ultimately read and help identify patterns that we see in people. So a style quiz isn't simply about saying, I like this image, I like this image, I like this image, and us saying, oh, okay, you're mid-century. But really what we do on the back end is we understand all the different layers that are in certain images and products, and we start to build out that pattern. And so we can share back with someone something that is much more detailed and in-depth, so we can say, yeah, you do have tendencies towards mid-century, but we've also seen a little bit of glam in your space, and really then give customers the opportunity to recognize and reflect in this delightful moment of saying, oh yeah, mid-century glam, that does sound like me. And then our designers and our design network can use that to start a conversation with how you might want your space to look, and dissect all of the plethora of images that comes through our inspiration boards.
And you have a whole army of designers that are working with you. Tell me a little bit about that. I mean, designers are sort of central to making your product happen in the end. We talk about the technology, but the designers are a key part of it.
Right, right. As we are a design service, we've leveraged a network of interior designers across the country to actually provide that service. And in doing so, we believe that we've been able to make interior design more accessible. So combined with the technology aspect and the ability to build 3D room models and 3D renderings at an incredibly affordable cost, we've also created a network and a system for design that allows designers to engage with customers one-on-one in a way that might be different than a typical design process. So I think sometimes it's easier to think about it like the way a store might engage, like Crate & Barrel CB2 might engage with their customers and offer design services. This is something that we can do and offer customized, unique design services specific to someone's actual exact room and dimensions, and then our technology helps provide those designers with a curated selection of products to start with that might be based on the customer inputs. So colors, budget, their style. So our designers don't have to start from scratch every time, but are aided in this technology and with this technology to be able to better address the customer needs in a way that allows for scalability and accessibility.
Yeah. And Jean, one of the things that has evolved as your business has is that you've become an incredible partner to so many of these general contractors. You are, for many of them, the primary revenue driver for them, right? And they're no doubt grateful to you for that, I'm sure. But that seems to have been a very natural outgrowth of the partnership that you have created with this community.
Yeah, I mean, we have a Christmas party. I'll just give you a small example. So we have a Christmas party for our general contractors, and in the first year we had it, we didn't think anybody would show up. And basically all of them showed up, and they were so excited to be there. They brought us gifts. They were kept saying thank you. And we realized finally, we're like, oh, right, who's inviting their general contractor to a Christmas party? It's actually a quite lonely profession. So to be able to build a community, to have them be connected to us, to one another, has been a really, it's been a vital part of our business. And it's kind of interesting. I think our competitive advantage has been that we have, in fact, trusted the general contractors that we have onboarded onto our network. We have treated them with respect and treated, their business aspirations with respect. And so as they have wanted to grow, we have built tools and really listened to them to service them, to make them more professional. So, we'll have, women and men. We do have women general contractors join the platform, and about 62% of all licensed general contractors are booked less than $500,000 a year. So most general contractors are small to medium-sized general contractors. So we will typically find a general contractor at that scale who wants to grow their business. And then without getting a back office, without getting any additional administrative support, we are able to grow their business to $3, $4, $5 million a year. That is just because they joined the Sweeten network. So we are taking on a lot of the back end support for them to support them as they grow, and that's become obviously wildly successful for us.
Yeah, and that's really been so key to it. And you and I were talking earlier, so we in the high-end home industry often think that we're so behind the curve technologically. Good news, general contractors are much further behind technologically than we are. So we can feel good about that. And that's a space that you're helping to fill in.
Yeah.
You're bringing their technology along in part through you and through that partnership.
Being a general contractor is a tough job, right? Just fundamentally, it's a very complex job, and we think that there's a ton of technical solutions that we can provide them to reduce the amount of paperwork that they need to do to be successful. At the end of the day, of course, we want customers and homeowners and small business owners to have great documentation of their project, have great communication of their project, but that doesn't necessarily have to be in the hands of the GC to perform. You really want a beautifully well-crafted, well-built space. That's the most important part. And we have a very extensive way in which we screen for our general contractors. We are extremely confident in the ones that we select. And so then to give them that support like I said, documentation, communication, that seems like a really easy lift compared to their job.
Yeah, yeah. And Alessandra, you and I have talked a little bit about designers using your service. So, which again, to me seems so very natural because you've got a really easy price point for entry, and the final product is remarkable. And I'm wondering, and I know you and I don't have the power to make this happen, but I'm hoping that ModZ is going to get closer to our design community and eventually be able to make this available on a larger scale. But I know it's a service that designers are coming to you for already.
We know that a few designers come in as ModZ customers under the radar and use ModZ with their clients because it is an affordable and amazing way to create photorealistic renders of a space. And so we recognize that there is a use case for that. As we look towards the future of growth, I think I'd love to say that we would be able to build out a partnership with the design community where we could enable ModZ as a tool for designers to use, because I know the pain points of rendering 3D are many, and it's expensive and it takes a long time. And the technology that we've built, essentially we've built a tool so that our designers, our ModZ designers who are interior designers, and many of them have their own clients, can easily, within a couple of hours, onboard onto a tool that is, if anyone's into video games, Sims-like, and easy to drag and drop products. And with the click of a button, you can create a beautiful photoreal render in just a few minutes. And so that this idea of rendering as being something that's been so out of reach or only paired with really luxurious interior design or architecture projects is something that, as we think towards accessibility, not just for the D2C world, but the B2B world, I think there's absolutely options for us to start. It's not going to be fast, but I can promise you the team has talked about it, and we're focused right now.
Yes. I'm hoping they're going to watch the playback
but
of this conversation, and they're going to say, wow, we do really need to get on that.
Yeah.
Because
every time I go to conferences like this, I go back to my team and I'm like, guys, we've got to engage more with the design community.
Well, and when we talk about the future of home, and we've got a demo over on the side with the technology of VR, and lots of different retailers are experimenting with augmented reality and what it can do for you. It is the answer to so many problems, the friction points with clients. And listen, a lot of my designer friends tell me they too would love the help of being able to visualize it all together in the same space. And to my furniture friends out there, one of the things that ModZ is of course also doing seamlessly is that they are not only showing you this beautiful 3D rendering, but any of those pieces of furniture that they work into that rendering can then easily and seamlessly be purchased on the site.
Right. It's like a customized catalog of your own space. So we like to say when you flip through catalogs of your favorite retailers, it's now that, but in your own home with a mixture of retailers, brands that you might discover, and it makes that process feel really customized for the customer and seamless for them. They can add everything to one cart, check out once, as opposed to managing 10 different orders across 10 different companies to get their room finalized.
Yeah, and in a way, Jean, part of what you do is continue to sort of chip away at making that whole experience of both hiring and then working with a general contractor so much easier than it would otherwise be. I believe my lovely colleague Ari referred to you as sort of the patron saint of renovation sanity, and I think that's such a great way to think of it, because at a time, at such a stressful time for people, and I remember when I used to work at Waterworks, people would say to me, do you think we should live in the house while the renovation's going on? No is the answer to that, first of all. And it's a time where I've seen marriages come apart, and it's a time where you just don't want to have it be any harder than it needs to be, right? And yet at the same time, I think that you've done such a great job of, you get customers to the point where they want to have their pictures taken and go up on your blog and talk about how great the process was. You've changed that for people.
I think it's funny. So I've also been called the contractor whisperer. We definitely hear a lot of like godsend, renovation angels. I think there's like a lot. We've also, most of our customers are going through a life event. So they've recently gotten married, they're having a baby, they're downsizing, they're getting divorced. So something externally stressful is being added to a renovation process.
Yeah.
So it is a highly emotional event, and I think a lot of what we've done is just try to understand from the homeowner perspective what we can do to make it as it is never going to be stressless, but we have this saying to renovate fearlessly, right? We just want people to go after their renovation and know that we are there for all of their, like, what if this could happen? What if this happens? What if this happens? We've done thousands of renovations. We can help to benchmark and set expectations so that they can feel supported and a little less scared.
Yeah, and it was interesting when we saw the show of hands earlier about people who with their general contractors, and a lot of people seemed happy with their general contractors. It's interesting when you talk to designers; they are so holding their general contractor very, very close. No, you cannot have my general contractor, and I have him or her booked through the next few years. But partnerships with designers seem like such a natural connection for you.
So we do work with a lot of interior designers and architects. They use our service to find general contractors to bid their projects and use them. In fact, we were talking about a lot of architects actually use our service when they're building their own homes. So kind of similar to my experience, they have a whole Rolodex of very high-end general contractors that won't build their own homes.
Yes.
And so we've done a number of interior designers and architects own projects.
Yeah, well, I can totally understand that. We have literally a few minutes left, and I want to throw it open to questions. If there are questions in the audience for our guests, the lovely Sophie Donaldson has a microphone in her hand, and we see a hand up in the back. Yes.
Hi.
I just have a question about, as an interior designer, we specify a lot of materials for construction projects. How does it work when you're working directly with a client and a contractor? Who specifies what happens?
So that is a big part of what
Sorry. What's your name? What's
sorry.
your company? Where are you from? So sorry, Jean.
Yeah.
Hold that thought.
Okay, my name is Marion Akinloy-Ennis. I'm with ASR Studios.
What town?
Oh, New
Here?
York.
All right,
Yeah,
local.
I live in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Hit it, Jean. Go for it.
So a lot of our homeowners come to us with just a Pinterest picture. So we have to figure out how we take that information and translate it into a scope that our general contractors can bid on. So we have developed a number of different ways through the technology and algorithms and kind of pattern matching to be able to do that. That is when they don't have an interior designer or an architect as part of their project. Other projects do need interior design or architectural services, and we will connect them to an interior designer or architect in those projects that need them. If the general contractor is then working with the interior designer, it's the same as always. You spec the materials, general contractor prices it, and everybody goes off happy.
Yep. Hi. Can you
how are we going to get
you
that
just
microphone?
pass that down?
Yes,
Quickly.
pass
Hi,
that
over here.
all the way down over
This way.
here.
Hey. Hey, you. How you doing? Great.
Hi, my name is Alex Leon Packer, and I'm the founder of ASL Collaborative, an organizational development consultancy for the design industry. We've talked a lot about your technologies, but what I'm really curious are the differentiators of your teams, your people that have brought you success.
Great question. See, my example of a great question. Well done.
I think the team is everything. I think the technology is second to the team. The technology and the innovation that we've been able to achieve is only because of the hard work of our team, right? Like, people can talk, it's just like a pencil or anything else. Like, it really depends on whose hand it's in. We have been able to get a really passionate group of people to solve this problem, mostly because we really see it as us translating people's visions into reality. So we do not dictate the style. We do not tell people how they should live. We help people manifest their dream, and we've been able to collect a bunch of people around that idea of diversity and inclusion, and the idea that there's a space for everybody and it's okay if it reflects their values. And our team is kind of galvanized around that, and yeah, the team is everything.
Yeah. Alessandra, do you want to?
I would echo those sentiments. I'm sure you guys are all avid business of home readers, so you know building a scalable design company is hard. So something that we've really leaned into is expertise, is really how do you build a diverse team that comes from different backgrounds? In the tech world, oftentimes teams are very homogenous. We see a culture of people who study at the same schools, look the same, dress the same, act the same. And so one of the things that at ModZ we've actively done is to try to break that. We have, actually our board is more women than men. More women than men are on our board, which is pretty impressive for an early stage startup. And at the leadership level, we're about 50-50 women and men, which again is pretty atypical for, I know, thank you. I'm really proud of that. It's pretty atypical for what we generally see in startups. And so we really worked hard at building a diverse team, not just in gender, but to make an inclusive workplace where we have people who are younger, older. But my advice is lean into expertise. I think where a lot of challenges happen in startups is you need people fast and cheap, and oftentimes those are very young and new people who are amazing and moldable, but you need to balance that with experts who can come into an industry and know exactly the wheres and the hows and the whos of how to make things work and grow.
Fantastic. One more, sure.
Oh, you got one in the back.
Oh,
In the back.
Thank you.
in the back.
Oh, sorry.
I'm Carol Neely. I'm an independent design project manager. And you had said that you evaluate the general contractors very strictly before you allow them to be, on your network. How do you do that, actually? Because I feel that a general contractor is really only as good as their subs. So you have to know that they have good subs as well. So what are the steps that you go through to be able to really evaluate their credentials, if they can interface, say, with a client and be polite, that kind of thing?
Sure. So we've been in business since 2011, and in that time we have had a number of different processes. So I'll tell you what we do now, which is a little bit different than how we began. So now, because we have all that data and we know what a successful general contractor looks like inside of the Sweeten ecosystem, we were able to build an archetype and then look for those general contractors in publicly available information. So we can go out and we get a list of all the licensed general contractors in an area, and then we can stack rank them based on how likely they are to be successful within the Sweeten ecosystem. Once we do that, we then recruit them, we bring them, we reach out to them, and we talk to their last 3 clients. So their profiles on Sweeten, and when you look at their profiles, those are conversations that they have had, my team has had with their past clients. Once we do that, so now we've checked publicly available information, we've checked their last 3 references, we then have a 30-minute phone call in which we do scenario testing with them to make sure that they, one, understand the expectations of working with Sweeten. So that means they work transparently. We see all of the communications between them and the customers that we match to them. We also have expectations around, obviously, like delivering certain levels of customer service and quality. And if they pass all that, then we onboard them and we start to slowly roll them out to our projects. So they have to prove themselves over time, where we're looking at their responsiveness, their communicativeness, how quickly they're getting to site visits, how they're delivering estimates, how they're winning projects, how they're completing those projects, what are the rankings they're getting for those projects, and then that all goes back into their matching score, which then dictates if they get more projects from us.
Could you have asked for a more detailed answer than that? All right, Sophie, what do you think? One more?
But in the beginning, it was just if I like them. No, just kidding.
Is this on?
Yeah, it's on.
Is it on?
Yep.
Okay. Hi, I'm Susan Sarah. I'm a kitchen designer. I own my own firm in Long Island. So this is probably more a question for Modsy. And I'd like to know, how long does the design process typically take? Do the designers get a percentage of the sales? And how else are they paid?
Great question. So our design processes are a lot faster than you might imagine. The technology helps that, and our onboarding helps that. Our turnaround time is anywhere from 4 to 10 days, depending on, and that's for our room design. And we don't do kitchens, by the way. We don't do kitchens or bathrooms. We just do interior design. So our designers are compensated depending on what part of the process that they work on. They might be compensated on a per room rate, a flat rate per room, or they may be compensated on an hourly rate, especially if they're customer facing. So we definitely want to encourage our designers to feel like they're well compensated. There's also different levels or tiers. There's opportunities for growth within that network. So we do have a lot of junior designers who start with us under the training of more senior designers. They get a lot of projects under their belt and they get a lot of feedback, so they have opportunities to grow within the network. Does that answer your question? I can't share those examples right now since we're a private company, but yeah, thank you for asking.
Yeah. Again, thank you for asking. Exactly. No, but thank you for asking. And there you go. Will you please join me in thanking our incredible guests, Jean Brownhill and Alessandra Wood?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.